Hello, Twilight Struggle fans, and welcome to the U.S. Cup Championship game on Action Round Zero. Justin Abramson back with you once again, with Makis and Ahern coming right up. And we're so glad you could join us for the culmination of America's annual team tournament, the U.S. Cup. 12 teams started, 50 games have been played, and today, in the tournament's 51st game, we finally crown a winner here in this best-of-5 series between the Evergreen State of Washington and Lone Star United of Texas. These two teams have played 4 games, and they've split them, so this is our winner-take-all Game 5. Team Washington, head by Casey Alexander, is relatively new on the team tournament scene. They made their U.S. Cup debut last year and failed to get out of the group stage. But this year, they sneaked into the playoffs, knocked off Team Nevada in the quarterfinals, and then knocked off the district in the semifinals, much to my chagrin, to get to the championship series. Lone Star United, on the other hand, is no stranger to U.S. Cup play. They've been there since the tournament's beginning in 2021, and they're looking for their second championship as Colonel Ed Prem hopes to lead them to glory. So wherever you are in the world, whatever time it is for you, we thank you for coming along for the ride as we find out which state is America's best. Here on Action Round Zero, Twilight Struggle's biggest stage. We've got both hands for today's game, courtesy of executive producer Anton Scott. So now let's bring in Ahern and Makis. Ahern, let's start with you. We've got the Texan hand on the bottom. They're playing the USA. The Washington hand is on the top. What do you notice about these hands, and which one do you like better?
Well, very good morning to you, Justin. Looking at the hands, they are interesting, Mike. I think the big question, the US has a decent sort of opt hand, but no very good headline. But what is interesting is in the Soviet hand, would you, they have the Asia scoring card, of a potential DiCarlo into Asia Dom AR1?
Yeah, that's definitely a very reasonable play to make. Makis, do you like Purge or DiCarlo here from the USSR side?
The problem for the USSR players is that they don't know if the US has defectors. So I would be hesitant to play decolonization for that reason. If they had defectors, I would definitely decolonize and then play Asia scoring back to back. But as things are now, maybe I would purge.
Yep, I tend to agree with you. Headlining decal is so risky if you don't have defectors, and indeed, Team Washington does go with the purge. And it doesn't get defected. Lone Star United goes with Olympic Games, which is really their only headline. I suppose they could have headlined U.S.-Japan, but Olympic Games is the headline. They win the Olympics, and so they pick up an early 2 VP. And now what would you expect, Ahern, here from, you're just looking for the standard Iran coup, I assume?
Yeah, that's going to be the Iran coup coming right up. I don't see any value in going into Europe at this stage.
Yeah, and interesting. They triggered EEU, and we'll see the coup roll here. Oh, just a 1, so they fail to kick
Fail.
the Texans out of Iran. Interesting, they didn't UN EEU, and so they've got UN and 5-year plan in hand. That might suggest that they want to play the China card because otherwise they're not going to get any value out of UN. They give it with 5-year plan in hand. Makis, would you have UN EEU there, or do you like just letting it go?
Probably, yeah. I would probably UN and leave 5-year plan as the last card.
Yeah.
But now I think Washington needs to play Asia scoring as soon as possible. They can't possibly score Asia now.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for them to get Asia Dom, even if they play the China card. But it looks like they're going to go with DiCarlo right away. So certainly,
certainly worth a fight.
Yeah. So where would you DiCarlo here? Obviously Algeria, but where else do you? Given that you're going to DiCarlo now, where would you like to go?
I like Algeria. South Africa is always a good spot for a high DIFCON decom. And then, yeah, Southeast Asia doing what you can there. Probably Thailand.
Okay, so yeah, you nailed it here. So Algeria, South Africa, Thailand, and then Laos, both for adjacency to Thailand and also to have Asia Dom. Now, obviously, Texas will answer that in some fashion, I'm sure here. How would you respond if you're the Texans? Do you like a coup of Laos? Do you like spreading out of Pakistan? What do you like?
Yeah, anything you need to even up Asia. That's definitely a thing. So putting a point into Pakistan does seem like a good option. The coup in Laos is very tempting, especially with no mill ops and you're under purge. You only have low op value cards. Those coups into one stab countries are very valuable.
Yeah, I tend to agree. A coup of Laos also forces an immediate filling of Thailand. Of course, if you coup Laos with a 2-op, which becomes a 1, and then you roll a 1, you give up Asia Dom, which is a disaster. We'll see what they go with. Yeah, I think filling Pakistan, getting into India is reasonable. Filling Pakistan, getting into Thailand is reasonable. A coup of Laos is reasonable. A lot of good choices here to respond. But, of course, we haven't even talked about the France issue. Europe is unscored. Washington is in Algeria and is threatening France with DEFCON at 4.
The one thing I would say as the US here, you can be fairly confident that the Soviets don't have a 4-op card. So 1 point into France should be enough to push away anything bar the China card. A 4-op card surely would have been a better opening coup than the EU play before.
Yeah,
maybe I would do. Yeah, maybe I would put 2 in France. Yeah, maybe I would use US Japan, put two in France, 1 in Pakistan, and maybe 1 in India.
Yeah, that's
we're under
reasonable.
purge.
But the other thing, sorry to cut you off there, Aiden, but the other thing we haven't talked about is blockade. The Evergreen State does have blockade in their hands, so we'll see if they hold their 4 and maybe get hit with blockade, or if they play it and just hope Washington doesn't have it.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot about purge. Yeah.
Yes, which makes both the blockade play very dangerous, and also it gives you it does give you the slight problem though that you don't necessarily want to be eventing blockade on turn 1. Turn 2 tends to be a better turn for.
Yeah, typically blockade better on turn 2, but obviously if you've got purge, I'm sure we'll see it evented. But okay, yeah, they do, I think, what you suggested, Makis, which is fill Pakistan to stop Asia Dom and then get 1 into France. And now, wow, okay, Washington reaching for the China card right away. Presumably they will take Thailand and then maybe get into South Korea here. You could use China card to take France, but with Asia scoring in your hand, I think that would be crazy.
Definitely crazy. I think that one of the things you need to do, if you are going to use the China card right now, that clearly signals sort of like some Asia scoring, or it's a strong signal of Asia scoring. So you'd want to sort of set that up as a fait accompli. You don't want to give them any easy chances to break you back.
And indeed, they go with the China card. Okay, they're going to fill Thailand and fill South Korea. Okay, so that gives Washington 4 countries to Asia's 2 and 3 battlegrounds to 1. So, okay, I guess what would be your response here, Aiden? Is this a Lao coup to stop domination, or would you take Malaysia and Indonesia, or something else?
I feel like the Lao coup for the reasons I said before. I know that sort of like low rolls will always kill you, but really when you're under purge and you only have one-up cards, those coups into one stabs, particularly if they're going to block dom, are very useful.
Makis, do you agree? Would you go with a Lao coup here, or would you do something
I
else?
agree. Yeah, I agree. I think a Lao coup is the best thing they can do now.
Okay.
There's also so many actions, only so many. They need 4 mil-ops at this stage.
Yeah, that's true as well. Getting mil-ops is certainly important. Now, okay, they're going to take a 1-op coup. Anything but a 1 here stops dom. They get a 5. So a big roll here. And now the question is, are the Washington players going to just take their 2 VPs in Asia? I think you just take your 2 VPs at this point, with given your low ops the rest of the way. What do you think? You could get super aggressive here and UN 5-year plan, but I think that's premature. Don't you guys think you just dump the scoring here?
They could push for Vietnam. Oh, there's the event. Blockade event. Yeah.
Okay. Well, blockade event makes sense, but not going to do anything for you in Asia. I think I would have dumped the scoring first, but okay.
They could put one in Vietnam and maybe one in France using Cambridge 5.
Oh yeah.
Try to be a little more aggressive.
Yeah, that would make sense. Okay, so Comic-Con here. I wonder if we're going to see a coup of Thailand at this point at DEF CON 4. They need to pick up a couple of mil-ops. Nope, they're just going to take France. Okay.
They have the IP war for mil-ops. That is one option.
Yes. Oh, that too. Okay, so here we are, AR5. You've got to score now. I don't think you are going to use. Don't just score now. Maybe you don't.
Yeah, I mean the fight for Asia is a difficult one because you're mostly like there's only one op you can sort of expand into. Only really one op you can.
Okay, and they do score Asia, so they pick up 2 points, but no domination. And Team Texas has to be pleased that even though they got purged and decalled on turn 1, a bad roll by Washington and Iran and a strong roll by Texas in Lao stopped any thought of them getting Asia dom. So not a terrible outcome here if you're Texas.
Yeah, I'd be very happy if I were Texas at this stage. This board is looking better than it's not that to get.
Okay, so the Texans want a mil-op there. It makes sense. They're going to try a coup on Thailand. They needed a 5 to do anything, and they missed. And then, of course, okay, Team Washington takes Iraq to take presence in the Middle East. That makes sense too. DEF CON sitting at 3. Here's IP war. What's your play here? Do you want DEF CON going to 2? Do you want to try and pick up a couple of VPs? What do you like here? Well, either of you guys.
Maybe one in France. Try to avoid getting France taken with either SuckGovs or maybe I could put one in France. Maybe.
I do feel that Europe's scoring. I'd agree with you, Makis, that Europe is your cash cow, and you need to kind of protect.
That makes sense, yeah. And worth pointing out that we've not seen any of the Europe attack cards yet. So no Suez, no SuckGovs, and no DiCarlo. Yeah, well, blockade is a Europe attack card, so to speak, and we did see that. But yeah, another one in France does seem to make sense. You could go Lebanon, perhaps to protect from Suez, but it doesn't change the scoring situation in the Middle East. But yeah, Lebanon might make sense. France might make sense. You have IP war in hand, so you probably don't need to worry about India at this stage.
Yes, it's nice to see IP war, even if they don't end up eventing it. And you're right, that your Middle East position is completely undeveloped since the beginning of the game. At least one point spreading out from the vulnerable Israelis probably a good idea too.
Okay. And so, yeah, you could try a coup in Algeria if you really want to lower DEFCON to 2, but I don't think I'd want to do that because Thailand's sitting there very vulnerable. So the Texans could take a big old China card coup on Thailand next turn if DEFCON stayed at 4. So I don't think I want the Algeria coup. I think I like France or Lebanon, but they're talking about it. Also, folks, you may notice on the bottom left of the screen a little bit of irregularity there. It's just our video feed came from Ed's channel, so we missed out on that. He's got his kind of face on the lower right, so we obscured it a little bit to make it more standard. But anyway, they didn't do either of the things we suggested. They tried the IP War event to pick up a guaranteed VP and maybe 2 more if they hit the roll. They missed. And now here we go with turn 2 and 2 scoring cards in the U.S. hand, and they're going to hope not to see de Gaulle, but I think de Gaulle is probably an easy headline for Washington. Don't you guys agree?
Yeah.
Yeah, that de Gaulle is looking like a very strong headline. I mean, I presume you could Marshall Plan would be a decent headline. There's also would mid-east scoring, is that something you want to get out of the way now?
Yeah, Middle East would be reasonable, particularly if you're worried about a Nasser headline. But, it's a tough call. Tough call here. We have not seen NATO, worth mentioning that. So perhaps Marshall, perhaps they would tip toward Marshall in that case. Okay, and they do go Marshall, and they're going to see de Gaulle. And I suspect we will just see France taken here on AR1 by Washington.
Now, one influence point in France now really matters now with IP War.
Completely agree.
Yes, they left France a little bit vulnerable, yeah.
Yep. So an easy 4-op into France, and now Europe is going to be -1 for the U.S. as opposed to positive. But now you could see they're talking about maybe a flip of Thailand, but a coup of Thailand, even a 1 clears them out, and then they roll a 4. So, okay, big roll in Thailand, but again, even a 1 would have been fine. And now the Asia looking very blue. So the Texans lose France, but they do pick up Thailand.
They have most of the sort of scorings right now. I don't know at what point you want to. Do you think can you play for Middle East? Can you play for Middle East domination here as the US?
Yeah, you could use Suez and take Lebanon and Egypt. You could use Warsaw, take Lebanon and Egypt for domination. The other thing to be concerned about is remember that the USSR put an op into South Africa, so neither team probably wants to lower DEFCON to 2.
Yes, that point in South Africa is very useful here as a threat for Angola and Zaire. Would you dump Europe scoring here? I feel like I can't improve Europe.
Yeah, especially because, so Evergreen State used their 3-op right away to overprotect France, take Algeria, and then take Lebanon. So now the path to Middle East Dom looks tougher. Yeah, and they're going to just go ahead and dump the scoring. That makes sense. So now terrible ops left for Washington, and they're just going to pick up a couple of VPs with captured Nazi.
I would even CIA there. You can get rid of it easily.
Yep. So CIA event still on the table, and that's what they're going to do. So if Washington coups here, and we already know their hand. So if Texas coups here, then Washington gets Angola. So I don't think we'll see that.
Yes, I'm just trying to think what would be a good place. Would you take would you try and cut off any middle ops here? Would you consider coupping into Lebanon?
Okay, Lebanon coup is interesting. If you try to coup, you could try a coup of Algeria, but if you do that, you're losing Angola and Zaire.
Yeah, the DEFCON coup is dangerous.
Yep. Okay, and they just go with the Lebanon coup. Oh, and okay, they're going to coup back and miss.
I'm guessing D-Star will be their hold card then. I mean, Warsaw Pact is slightly dangerous. It could lead to you being dominated in Europe.
Yes, that is true. So 3 more cards to play. D-Stall will be held, or China was played, so we'll have 2 hold cards here. So D-Stall will be held along with something else. On top of that, Blockade is gone, so they don't have to worry about that. Yeah, I think AI War, so that makes sense, but it does give up 2 much-needed mill ops. So that could be a little bit of a relief for Washington, as they obviously lose the war, had to have a 6 to hit it. But now they pick up a couple of free mill ops, which could be important.
I do like expanding out over to Libya as soon as you possibly can, before NASA takes Egypt proper.
Yeah, I think so too. And then I think maybe we'll see when DEFCON goes to 2. But if Washington coups on AR6, then even if Texas takes Angola, Washington can coup it on AR1. So, okay, looking at a UN play. Maybe they're thinking about UN for ops. How would you handle this?
Is 5-year plan worth holding? Is 5-year plan worth holding? Do you have any losing scoring cards that you need to get rid of?
Yeah, I guess Middle East, you are dominated in the Middle East. Asia is right now, you're not dominated now, but you're probably going to be. But Nasser's coming. You can still take Saudi. You're probably going to get a coup. I don't know if 5-year plan's worth holding. I don't know if I'd want to hold anything. I might UN 5-year plan and get a whole new hand. I don't know, Aiden. What do you think? What do you think? What would you want to hold here?
Yeah, I'm not sure that I would actually want to hold anything. I think I'd want to maximize my draw on turn 3 when you get the reshuffle. So yeah, I'd happily get rid of 5-year plan at this stage. In this case, UN.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're going to do. And ooh, interesting, a jam of Iran. Okay.
I don't see that working. Yeah, the US can still coup Iran, so.
Yeah, that could just be a coup in response to that. It does obviously threaten Pakistan, and the China card is back in Washington's hands for next turn. It's face down, so they can't play it on AR6.
I mean, as the US, you do want DEFCON to drop to 2 by the end of the turn, right? Like, you don't want to see DEFCON going to 4 for a China card, Soviet coup at the beginning of the next turn, right?
Oh, yeah, I mean, we saw what happened when USSR left it at 4 when they had Thailand. You agree with that?
Yeah, US needs to get the DEFCON to 2.
So would you coup here if you were Texas? Would you just coup Iran, send DEFCON to 2, and allow Washington to go into Angola?
Yeah, I would coup, I think.
Okay, they just use their 1-op card and want to get Truman back in the deck, and they go into India. And there is a 2-op, and I think, I don't know, man. If this could be a coup, and then the U.S. still won't want to go into Angola, you give yourself a chance to get there on the left side of the board, or you could not coup, as you guys said, and force the U.S. to coup, or potentially face a Thailand coup next turn.
I think as the Soviet, I like trying to force the US to coup in this sort of situation. Really, this sort of like spreading influence. There's not many available battlegrounds left for the Soviets to get into.
That is true. Okay, and wow, the Washington just decides to take Iran, and so now the Middle East is evened up once again. Actually, +1 for Washington. And so, yeah, a little bit of an interesting situation. Makis, what would you do here as the U.S.? If you coup with Warsaw, then the Soviets you're going to certainly have Europe domination heading into next turn. Would you give Suez? Empty yourself out of France? What do you like here?
I would probably do a Suez coup in Iran. That way, next turn, if the USSR decides to coup maybe Panama, then the US player can access Angola and Zaire.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I don't think you want to give Warsaw here, and I don't think Suez is bad enough that you want to space it. I think you would. I think you'd rather have the ops in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
What about the issue with Pakistan? I mean, you'd need to coup Iran. If you don't clear them out of Iran, they can use the China card to flip Pakistan.
Yep, that's true. There's also the Libya situation. Nasser's coming on turn 3. You don't want to leave Libya open. A lot of stuff to do here with these 3 ops.
Oh, you can put 1 Pakistan, 2 in India. Have domination, Asia domination.
That makes sense as well. Okay, so they're going to use Suez, as you suggested, Makis. They're going to take Libya and Angola. Okay, so Angola going to Angola with DEFCON going to 4, and they don't get the good stuff here. Containment, Romanian defectors, and NATO for Washington. Redraws not so good on the American side. Special and Indy Reds. Neither of those are going to do anything. Middle East and Purge. Ooh, a couple of very interesting redraws.
The USSR got all the good stuff.
Yes. So they got the big ops. So I think this is another Purge headline, right? Right, guys, on turn 3?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Maybe, I mean, soft govs is a possibility, but Purge is probably the call.
Yeah, Formosan, I think is the best headline. There's just nothing there. Okay, so there goes the Purge. And this is going to be not a fun turn. Worst hand ever. Yeah, this is not going to be a fun turn for the Texans. They've got Korean War, Nasser. So 4 2-ops that are going to be knocked down to 1s. So what would your play here, guys, be if you are Washington? You have Middle East scoring in your hand, but DEFCON's at 4 and you have China. Would you take a big swing at Pakistan or Thailand? What do you like?
I would go Pakistan here. I would go Pakistan, and then if the US player goes back, I would just force my way into Angola.
Yep. Would you do it with the China card, or would you do it with something smaller?
I'm a big fan of keeping the China card and not playing until I absolutely have to. So I would go with NATO, possibly.
Oh boy, nope, they're going big or going home, and just enough into Thailand. Okay, they needed a 3, and that's exactly what they got. So the Texans can go in there with 2 ops, but then so China card. So these teams playing fast and loose with the China card. We've seen the China card played on turn 1, on turn 2, and then again on turn 3.
Thailand switching sides, I think, each time, is that right?
Indeed, yes. Thailand was taken by the USSR on turn 1, flipped to blue on turn 2, and now it's going to be flipped back to red here on turn 3. And now DEFCON is at 3, so this is a tough call here for the U.S. I think they have to coup to protect Angola.
They do.
Yeah, I think you have to coup in either Iran or Algeria, so you don't lose Angola and Zaire. Okay, they do break Iran for a quick Middle East dom. Okay, and a couple of VPs there for Washington.
I feel like Pakistan needs to be overprotected as well. You just don't have the op strength to really be very aggressive here as the US.
Yep. Yeah, a lot of 1-ops. The only 2-op is, of course, Warsaw. Then you have a 1-op and then 3 2s that have been turned into 1s. So clearly this will take back Iran. What else? Iran and Thailand, of course. DEFCON finally at 2 for the first time in this game on turn 3, AR2.
Sensible space there.
I would wait with the space. I think 1 in Angola needed possibly.
So one in Zaire, maybe you mean? Because they're already in Angola.
What was that? Oh yeah, and Angola because Angola can be flipped now by the USSR.
It is flippable, and NATO is known in the USSR hand, and I believe special is unknown in the Texan hand. So we'll see what happens there. Okay, yeah, and the
That was an odd place to take Syria.
yeah. So it
They're
looks
trying
like,
to score Middle East, I think.
yeah, and they're going to get it, and they don't have a ton better places to spend their ops with D-Stall gone. They do need to shore up Thailand, but they can do that with containment. Romanian, I think, is a good event, but that might see an independent Reds response.
Yes, after Warsaw Pact, Independent Red suddenly becomes a more interesting card.
Yep.
But I agree with Makis. I think like Angola is going to need to be overprotected because the US, the Soviets had such a huge ops advantage.
Yeah, I don't know what you do here. So this just gives up Europe Dom, and presumably this will go. We should see, I think, 2 Yugoslavia or maybe 2 Czech, 2 Poland, 1 East Germany would be my play. And I wonder if
Yes, I do like to be aggressive like that, particularly holding 3 battlegrounds. Those non-battlegrounds suddenly become more interesting and not just playing defensively in Eastern Germany and Poland.
Yep. Okay, and so they're going to take UK. Oh, they take UK and Zaire. Yeah, they don't think. Yeah, they don't think they have Europe, and indeed they don't. So this, I think, would be probably defectors into Saudi, and then maybe Thailand. Do you think?
Probably.
Thailand needs to be overprotected at some stage.
Should be Saudi for sure, and then Thailand. Yep, that's exactly what they're going to do. Then I assume we will see Middle East scored. Independent Reds is
they're not going to be able to get Nasser out beforehand. Yeah, definitely. Particularly again under Perks, that's a good call. And Truman's still out.
Yep. Okay, and there goes Middle East. So 3 VPs. Nasser makes sense. I assume we need to see Panama taken, I think.
I think Panama and Angola are 2 sort of beauties we need to perform. But India, it's turn 3. I know the US have lacked ops, but they also need to talk about Mexico as well.
Yep. Yeah, and they're not going to be able to do that. So clearly they're going to hold Fidel. Yeah, and I think Texans are going to hope they see NATO on AR6, but I think they know they're going to see containment.
Yeah, Angola, I think, is a play here.
Yeah, that makes sense because that's very flippable, and that's a great use of 3 ops.
Texas is holding special relationship. They're hoping Washington will play NATO, I think.
Yeah, that would be my play as well.
Yeah, I think
hold special for next.
I think that makes sense. They will not. The problem is they were not going to be able to space Fidel. Even we're going to see containment here, but I don't think they're going to want to give Fidel. So South Africa makes sense here. Is South Africa your play? Do you bust into Pakistan? Oh, they're just going to flip Angola. So that's what you guys been talking about this whole time. Worried about Angola being flipped, and sure enough, there it goes.
Yeah, I don't mind India here. I'm concerned about Zaire. I think sort of like Cameroon is certainly a potential spot to put an influence into as well.
Yeah. Okay. Portugal. Oh, because they know about Romania, and that's worth mentioning too. So Washington held Romanian, but Romania is good enough to get down. Oh, okay. And we got a monster here for for the U.S. They get Brush and Junta. Terrible ops, but a couple of good events. And yeah, that's an easy Brush headline. Thailand is unprotected. Southeast Asia in the Washington hand, although 5-year plan along with it.
Vietnam adults is kind of interesting, but not actually really available to you. I don't know. How do you deal with Southeast Asia scoring? Don't really have any access down there.
Yeah, I think this is probably just an OPEC headline, isn't it? Brezhnev, not going to do a ton. I think you just take your 3 VPs out of OPEC, don't you?
Yeah, Brezhnev is not going to be optimal here, I think.
If you had headline peak, I think you'd try Vietnam, protect Thailand. But they don't, so I think we will just see... Yeah, Brezhnev is not particularly strong. OPEC's going to be an event, so it hit 5-year plan Vietnam, arms race, before ops. Not that good. I think OPEC's better.
I mean, Romanian could threaten a domination, but it would be entirely bottom.
Yeah.
Or they could score. Of course, if they knew that Texas played Brush where they wouldn't score.
Yeah, they would be very sad to see Brush in the headline if they scored. So, okay, Texas, yeah, look like I think Thailand is the no-brainer here. Are they going to hit it? And they get the 4, so they get the roll. And Asia now once again, so 4 turns and 4 Asia flips.
Very indecisive talent. Very, very easily swayed.
Yep, they don't know whether they like McDonald's or they like vodka. So we'll see what Evergreen State wants to do here. I think this is a pretty easy coup of either Zaire or Panama. We'll see what their pleasure is. Reaching for a big 4-op suggests Panama is what we're looking at.
Yes, Junta unfortunately having no targets.
Yeah. So yeah, obviously the U.S. would much rather headline Junta, but the USR is not in there. Is not in the Americas. So I wonder if we'll see it now. See Junta into something like Chile now, and then realigns in Panama. Nope. Oh, thinking about just taking a quick Asia dom.
That was very interesting. I would have put more of my influence into Southeast Asia at this stage if I was using the China card for this kind of move. What are the other options? Do you think they might be concerned about Central America now that Panama's flipped?
Yeah, maybe. Just a 2-op play into Central makes sense, but I mean, Nuke Subs is a decent event here. Truman's not really going to do much of anything. So yeah, you got a couple of low ops cards you could coup with. Nuke Subs event makes sense. Fidel's obviously going to space. You could try Junta now, go to Chile, realign Panama.
Yeah, India's good. It does get you the domination. That's worth mentioning. Trying to solve both problems, I suppose, Mexico and India at the same time.
Yeah. So they do. And again, so 4 turns, 4 Thailand flips. 4 turns, 4 plays of the China card.
I can give up playing the China card anytime I want.
And there it is. They're going to take Angola. They're going to overprotect Angola, take South Africa. So now 3 battlegrounds in Africa for Washington.
So they're at plus 10 right now. Are you thinking, is this, I mean, a 5-year plan has to be safe for Southeast Asia scoring, right? But what do you think your path, are you looking for a path to a quick victory, a mid-war victory for the Soviet?
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, Africa control, perhaps. You don't have a path into South America. And Europe Dom with Marshall evented earlier looks like it's not going to happen. So, yeah, it would need to be, thinking about a decall, redraw, quick Dom, or, control in Africa would be the path.
I'm surprised they didn't play arms race for the easy 3.
Yeah, you're
Is arms
right.
race better for the three op? Is it better for the 3 VP or for flipping Zaire? So,
Yeah, that would have been an interesting use of arms race. I guess they could have used Brezhnev for that, but they want to get the three off right away, and they do. So 13 VP lead now for Team Washington.
They don't like the idea of playing nuclear subs. I would headline it, to be honest.
yeah, they might be setting nuclear subs for next turn. There's a couple of decent events for them here. So that's event, good event. Nixon probably eventable.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's interesting. So they go Sahara.
No.
Yeah, this will have to be a junta. Oh, and just they roll the one. Doesn't not a particularly impactful one. And they're just going to take.
Yeah, Hunter was a great fun card.
Okay, so just one hold here. China was played, but UN was as well. So I think Nuke subs probably getting held as you mentioned, and then Sadat needs to be event. Yeah, I know Middle East just scored, but I think you really need to event Sadat, flip over Egypt, and then we will see probably Nuke subs next turn, and you hope that Washington doesn't get Africa.
Is eventing Truman just a little bit too cute?
I mean, it's reasonable. It's also could help you in the late war if with teardown realigns as well. The Truman event's not bad at all.
Expanding into Brazil is definitely the option here. Venezuela is a little bit too exposed by itself.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't think Truman is too significant now to play this event. The US can always stop domination with Greece, Turkey, Canada.
Yeah, there's lots of options. So, well, after Marshall, it's very hard for the Soviets to secure domination.
Yeah, pretty much all you can do is you got to lock up a non-battleground and then do the SOC govs or something and then score at AR1. That's the only way you're going to get it. Okay, so they go one Colombia to secure presence in South America, overprotect Nigeria. That all makes sense. I think Sadat's got to be in that.
Yeah, I agree. Sadat should be evented, surely.
I don't think you can punt Sadat for ops here. So they go with the coup in South America, and they're going to be sad when Southeast Asia goes by the boards. But the fact remains that South America looking very blue. D-Stall is in the discard. Junta is in the discard. So Allende, the last remaining path into South America.
And the US still have public guards and OAS, so yeah. Clock's on for...
Oh, they're not even considering the event. Okay, they're going to stop Africa Dom.
Okay. That pressure, the score, VP pressure there in Africa for sure.
Oh, not a good hand for the a terrible hand for the for Team Washington. They get absolute garbage. Europe, Asia, and South America. Those are not the scorings they want. They obviously wanted to see Africa. Or Central with Libs in hand. Ooh. And a reasonably nice hand here for the American side. Missile Envy seems like a fine headline. It's going to pull CMC.
Is Duck and Cover in the discard?
No, Duck and Cover's potential. They could absolutely walk into We Will Bury You and Duck and Cover combo.
Yeah, We Will Bury You is quite a reasonable headline for the Soviet. Obviously, they don't have it, but if they did, that would be a reasonable Soviet headline. So maybe they won't want to do that. Yeah, DiCarlo.
They did.
Yeah. Okay. So this will just be shuttle. I
mean, you want to put a point into Thailand, I suppose. Indonesia, probably Zaire, and something else.
Yeah, I think Zaire, Indonesia, Thailand. you're down in Asia
Some non-battleground.
to 2, so you can't use DiCarlo to stop Dom in Asia. You could put 1 in Vietnam, 1 in Indonesia, and then use the missile envelope to take Indonesia, but that's gonna be answered pretty quickly.
Yeah, you probably have to go pretty serious in that, like putting influence into Burma as well, and Malaysia or Philippines if you really wanted to contest.
Yeah.
Asia, you're so far behind. You've got 2 countries versus 6 at this.
Yeah, and I tend to agree. So yeah, Team Washington going with. Looks like they're giving up shuttle and accepting they're going to be dominated in Asia. They'll just give up the 1 VP with shuttle, and then presumably take a coup here on Zaire. Yeah, 1. Yep, that all makes sense. And then a coup of Zaire. Yep, and they get it. So now Africa controls. So they are now threatening to win the game immediately. Obviously, they don't have Africa. They have 3 other scoring cards that they wish they didn't have.
That's been nuke subs surely for the event.
Yeah, and I think that this is probably a nuke subs event.
They have to protect Thailand before everything else.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, they need to prep for it. And Venezuela's another spot they need to protect as well. As soon as nuke subs goes up, the Soviets are going to be looking to push.
That's right. I forgot that. I forgot Washington had the China card back. So it can't event nuke subs right now. Yes, absolutely have to protect Thailand. They'll want to protect Venezuela, and I think Team Washington is just hoping now that they don't see as a Uruguay play, so they can dump South America for -2.
Yes, with no other sort of access into South America, the South American scoring card is something I really want to get rid of as soon as possible.
Yep, and just as you guys said it, 1 Venezuela, 1 Thailand is the play, and this would be an immediate dump of South America, not even think about it, and that's exactly what they're going to do.
Do you go straight into nuclear subs now, or do you get rid of, like, say, Quagmire or some space or other sort of events that you need?
Yeah, I like getting rid of obligations first.
Mm-hmm.
So now they space that.
Was it really an obligation? It was a potential hold.
Well, don't you want to hold Kennedy for Africa?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think you probably want to hold.
But not if I've won Nigeria, Zaire, and Angola in coups, then I don't need to worry about that.
Yes, that is true. So nuke subs event, this should be met with 1 Angola, 1 Vietnam to stop Dom in Asia, right? Okay, they're going to go libs first, which makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they want to be creating problems all over this. That's an excellent response to nuclear subs as well, causing that break out of nowhere.
Oh, and by the way, sorry, my mistake. Vietnam and Indonesia does not stop Dom because that's only 4 countries. And shuttle's in effect anyway. So forget everything I said. It was very dumb.
Easy to miss all of these things in a complex game. There's a lot going on here. Yeah, I guess that Africa scoring is such a huge threat. I mean, Central America was starting to turn into one as well. If they can get domination there, that would push. They could get it up to 17?
Yeah. Okay, so this will probably take Cuba. Okay, so there goes Cuba. Fidel is in the discard. And now the U.S. still needs to get mill-ops. They're going to get it now. They're going to flip over Nigeria with a big roll on a 1-op coup. And I assume we'll just see Asia dumped right here. There's no China card
they can't save it.
do with shuttle in effect. I think you just got to dump Asia.
Or is the China card available? They could take Japan.
Yeah, but shuttle's in effect. So it's not going to do anything.
Oh, shuttle. Oh, yeah, that's correct. Yes.
So without shuttle, that absolutely is a reasonable play and would be a devastating one once U.S. Japan is gone. But with shuttle in effect, that is not available. So they just eat the 6 VPs.
Mm-hmm.
And that will take some pressure off the Soviets, or off the American hand, rather. With the VP track.
I can feel the US side of relief. Yeah.
Okay, they miss on that one. So, still going to be a Soviet Africa domination after this. I don't know. I think I'd space CRGs here. Right?
All set up for central scoring by putting one in Nicaragua, one Haiti,
Yep.
and maybe one in Angola for safety.
Yeah, that makes sense too.
Yes, you do want to set up for the dominations over the course of the headline. But how many more space cards do they need? Like VOAs, unseen, grain tails are unseen. They may have like an awful hand next turn.
That's true. VOA grain puppets, all still to come.
You might want to space CIG just to give yourself more space options next turn.
That was my thought as well. You'd love to space that, get it out of your hand, and then get to double space, because you might need it next turn, even with China in your hand.
The other thought is that if it looks like they're going for Angola, you might want to consider occupying Botswana and Cameroon. That sort of protects you against the nuclear subs coup threatening real lines.
Oh yeah, that makes sense too. Okay, yep, they're just going to space, and I like this play, given the bad cards that are coming. Okay, now just a quick coup of Angola, and this one, just another 2. So we'll see if Portuguese comes. Portuguese is in the American hand, and they get VOA and puppets as well. Duck, grain, Africa, we will bury you in the Soviet hand. So a lot of good, a lot of bad, as I sometimes like to say. And so we'll see it. So cultural also in the U.S. hand.
They played Lone Gunman, yeah?
Yeah, Lone Gunman, the headline, which makes sense.
Do you reckon VOA is the headline here?
Yeah, the Pope is a good event, but you don't need it in the headline. Puppets also good, but you don't need it in the headline. I think I like VOA, and Lone Gunman is a good response to that. You coup with Lone Gunman, you coup Angola with Lone Gunman, and then you fix whatever the damage is with We Will Bury You. This isn't a situation.
With VOA.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the trick with that kind of VOA is to find a region on the board that you can actually clear out.
Yeah, and I think it's too late in the game for that. So I don't think any VOA that Texas does can be easily fixed with a 4-op. I still think it's the right headline, and they're just going to be sad to see this gunman play. Yep.
So to Angola, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. To Algeria.
To Algeria, sorry.
Yeah, and to be honest with you guys, I don't think this matters. Whatever they're going to do, I think this is just going to be. And the other thing is they see cultural in the American hand, so they may just play China here on AR1 instead of We Will Bury You. I think this is just an easy Angola coup, and then either China or We Will Bury You fills up Algeria. Oh, they might. Well, now the other thing they might do, they might not play China. They might play Ussuri. Oh, and they miss on the Angola.
Ussuri is better.
Anything but a 1.
Day of execution for the US.
Yeah, that's a brutal 1. But to be fair, the US just ate a couple of bad rolls in Angola. They had 2 shots at it and rolled 2s both times.
Now, as the US, I suppose you do want that Angola situation is extremely precarious. So I'd be expecting to take Botswana and reinforce Angola with 3 points here.
Yeah. Now, the other thing to mention is, so I mentioned giving Ussuri, but Ussuri's actually, weirdly enough, not that bad for the USSR here. They're going to have to overprotect North Korea, but South Korea is at 0-5, and they're not really contesting any other Asian battlegrounds. So, and Southeast Asia scoring is in the discard. So I think you could just give Usuri here without any problem.
Mm-hmm.
That might even be their strategy. It's a good way of burning it now. So I don't think you need to be too covetous about the China card in this game. It seems to be going back and forwards pretty freely.
Yeah, that's right. Turn 5 was the first turn that we didn't see. Didn't see it played. Okay, and
Did they just trick a Muslim for the event?
yeah, the Texans are giving up Muslims, and so if they had just evented Sadat earlier in the game, this wouldn't be nearly as painful. But okay.
Yeah, there was one. Like I did look at that and think Egypt might be a crazy VOA call just for the sake of Muslims, but they're in a serious situation in the Middle East. That's not good.
Okay, we will bury you. It's going to be a 4-op play. Using their big cards early. So of note, Central America scoring not going to come until turn 7. If the Texans want to hold, the Texans presumably want to hold Kennedy. And so maybe that's why they gave Muslims, is because they want to space cultural.
Yeah, I mean, EU, they've gone 3 into Botswana. That seems a little bit excessive. Surely 2 is significant.
Yeah, I think I would have rather gone 2 Botswana and then maybe 1 to Cameroon, if that was going to be the play.
Or even Israel.
Yeah, that's true too. Okay, big 4-op here. So 1 in Angola, and then they're going to go 1 Cameroon to reestablish. I don't know what the 1 in Angola gets you. And then they also take Central.
No, that's very clever. No, I like this a lot. This puts a lot of pressure on Angola now. Like they're threatening the rear line. If they don't take that rear line now, Angola could easily be flipped, and then Africa's looking a lot worse again.
I see. So if they
I think this is a strong.
Yeah, if they try the realign, Angola can be flipped. Otherwise, they have to beef up Angola right now. Yeah, just one card. Interesting. Just one card left in the U.S. hand here that they want to play for ops. Puppets wants to be an event. The Pope wants to be an event. Culture wants to be space. OAS is an event. And Portuguese, obviously, you can't use to contest Angola. So, yeah, you know what? You're right. A little bit of a tricky spot here for Texas with that 1 in Angola.
And that threat into Central America really means that they've got to be very judicious about how they approach this next move. They've got to counter at least one of them, either Africa or Central America.
Yep, and so they're not going to be able to stop Central Dom unless they coup Haiti, but they certainly will not do that because then that gives up Angola and Africa Dom.
OAS into Cuba would block the top.
Oh, yes. Sorry. Yes, of course. OAS into Cuba, in which case, of course, Washington would just score Africa here, I have to think. They might flip.
What if they play puppet with in Guatemala, Nicaragua, and
that's
Sudan?
True. Yeah, you can go Guatemala, 2 in Central, 1 in Africa with. Okay, interesting. So they play OAS to defend Central, and so that gives Washington the opportunity to flip Angola.
They're going to be scored now, though.
They can score Africa for 4 if they want, or they can flip Angola.
I would just score.
I think I would just score as well, but no. Okay, they're gonna flip. They're gonna take another couple of VPs.
Knowing Portuguese is out there is sort of helpful. It puts more pressure on the US.
Okay, and now they're going to flip back. Immediate flip. Okay, now the Soviet hand is getting a little precarious. They've got duck, grain, Usuri, and a scoring to go with lads. Now, again, Usuri is very playable here. Okay, NORAD, just going to flip back. And no real response to that for the Texans. I suppose they could puppet. Could they puppet into Saudi? Ooh, puppet into Libya. Yeah, that makes sense.
Like getting back into Libya in this situation.
Yep.
This was terrible.
Good play. And now I think a quick Africa scoring for 6 VP. So they fought hard for that Africa dom and they got it. But good for them. Good for Team Washington fighting hard in both Central and Africa, making the Texans guess, and they seem to have guessed wrong.
What do you think about moving into Argentina with that with public governments? It's a bit vulnerable. You need to cover that.
Yeah, especially with ABM coming. Ooh, thinking about the Pope for ops, that would threaten. Yeah, and they're just going to space, and I think we will see. This should just be a space back, I assume. What would you space?
Surely that can cover with oh yeah, that can go with grain sales. I mean, turn 7. Do you not want grain sales to be discarded on turn 7? We are getting a reshuffle.
Yeah, I think the gutsy play is to space duck, hold Usurian grain, and then space grain AR7 on turn 7 rather. Purge is gone. Obviously, it could be redrawn, but yeah. And there goes grain to space. So they do space grain and they hit the roll. So we could potentially see that come back in the late war. Okay, and Lone Star and the Texans are going to activate NORAD. They get central scoring and not much else. Oh, ABM, salt, flower power. Big hand here for Team Washington. And they also get IP war, which could be interesting, obviously not in Central America, but interesting in Asia to potentially even things out.
Just as a quick note, both sides know exactly each other's cards. There are 0 cards unrun at this stage in terms.
Oh, yes, absolutely right. Thank you for pointing that out. Both sides know. So also of note, Team Texas is down on time. They are down under 18 minutes here on turn 7, whereas Team Washington has twice as much time left. So is the play just an ABM here? You coup Mexico, you roll a 5. If you roll a 5, you just win the game right away. Assuming the oh no, wait, of course. What am I saying? The Texans have Kennedy, so they can just use Kennedy. Obviously.
Yes, there's also a couple of. I guess they don't really have much else in the way of scorings, but once they do Kennedy, then yeah, we'll see what is to come. Bear traps a hold here. I mean, you hold Olympic Games and you do into Kennedy as well.
Yeah, you could hold. So I think you're going to Kennedy away central. I don't think you can give up these VPs. Maybe Bear Trap's an AR7. Maybe it's a hold.
You need to take Chile at this stage too, right?
Yep.
The threat there in Argentina is now real.
So another coup coming here for Washington. They could take Africa control here. I don't think they're going to go after Mexico, knowing that the Texans have Kennedy.
Yeah. I think a coup of Angola is nice.
You mean Nigeria?
Nigeria, sorry. Yeah.
No, just going to go influence and just take Chile if they're going to give up a coup. Very interesting. Going to give up a coup in order to even up South America.
Back to Angola?
So, yeah, I think this is probably an Angola coup. Zaire could get immediately realigned, and I don't think you need too big a role on Panama. Team Texas down now to 16 minutes on their clock.
Now, they know all of the opponent's cards, and Bear Trap is definitely sort of something that both sides are aware of at this stage.
Okay. Oh, and they go.
Oh, and they...
One.
Oh, no. That's a terrible one. Oh, what a terrible one.
Oh, that was unfortunate. And giving up bear trap for that one as well. That must sting.
Yeah, I would have tried for a 2-op coup there. I think, okay, Cambridge 5 quickly fixes that up and reestablishes central dom. Nope, not that. Yeah, and we'll see. What are they going to pick up? Ooh, grain. It's interesting. Muslims can go to space. Fidel's not going to do anything bad. As a matter of fact, Fidel is probably helpful. Clears out Cuba for Ortega purposes. And then special. Also an interesting card. Because that can be evented for 2VP.
And the VP is definitely important still at this stage. Africa, there's still potential for an Africa scoring.
Oh,
Wow, that's game over, I think.
huge roll.
Oh, yeah, right.
That's going to be tough to come back from. So that evens up Asia, and now the Texans do not have one positive region. There is not one region on the board that scores positive for them, other than obviously Southeast Asia. That's devastating.
It is.
Yeah, and now we're getting into a DEFCON only situation. Problem is, Washington has duck. They're going to be able to easily dispose of it. Grain now in the Texan hand, so that's gone. The CIA is gone as well. Yep, there goes duck. They hit the roll. Now they're going to have headline peak. Yep, this is. It's hard, very difficult to see a path. They've also punted the Pope for ops, so Europe control not really looking like a thing. And not to mention, they have they have to do all of this in 13 minutes.
They still have a Suri to flip back Asia, so Asia's not completely ended.
Yeah,
but that should be manageable from the Soviets.
Yeah, certainly rather.
Assuming they don't space it, don't get to.
Yeah, I'd certainly rather give up Ussuri if I'm the Soviets than Alliance, which is 3 VPs. I want to push really hard for 20 here.
I think that's pretty desperate for Texas.
Yeah, and
I don't see any way coming back here.
And they're going to space. Oh, and they hit the roll, so now just 3 VPs away. Special will stop that. That'll make it 15. And then are we
those war rolls?
Yeah. Will we see assault for not we will bury you? Are there VPs in the discard to pick up with salt? It doesn't look like it. U2 incident. Yeah, they're checking.
Salting nuclear test ban is also an option.
Oh yeah, that's true. Okay, just a 1-op coup there. Our man is going to swing and a miss. Woof. Swing and a miss on our man.
It does feel like the wheels are gradually falling off the cart for the US.
Yep.
Well, VOA on turn 10 can swing an enormous amount of points. Never give up.
Yeah, they just
I don't think it's going to go to turn 10.
have to score some dominations here. Okay, so here we are. AR7, they could trigger Salt, or they could just play it for ops. Maybe play it for ops and overprotect France would be the play. I don't think you probably...
I mean, they know that they're going to get Ussuri if they grain south.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, hang on. Sorry, we're in the USSR phase. Yeah, no, that opportunity is...
Yeah, just overprotect stuff. Makes sense. Okay, going to use Brezhnev and save grain. So, okay, here we go to the late war and a 15 VP lead. South America not going to do much. What are just an easy grain headline. Middle East scoring should be enough. We'll see where this grain coup goes. no problems in the USSR hand.
Is terrorism? Are we looking at terrorism cards now? Or?
Yeah, missile envy and terrorism. So yeah, grain and terror force U.S. to miss an AR. But this should be. I think
With that missed AR, you might be in a position to. You might be able to position to turn South America into an actual winning battleground for you.
Yep.
Wow.
All right, they pull 5-year plan, so they coup with it, I guess, and hope.
It's tempting to event just to create problems.
Nope, they're gonna repair. It's talking about repairing, so that Europe scoring doesn't win the game. And that'll do it. So congratulations to the Evergreen State Team Washington, U.S. Cup champions from worst to first. Team Washington wins this one in a best-of-5 series against Team Texas. The Soviet Union winning all 5 games in the first-ever best-of-5 series in the U.S. Cup. But this was... So it felt like Washington was ahead from the very beginning, and the Texans were close, just could not quite catch up. So an interesting one, a fun one, and I'm so glad that you folks could watch it. Very interesting game. So before we sign off, I want to get your final thoughts here. Makis, let's start with you. What did you think about this one?
The game was quite interesting until the mid-war, maybe turn 5, and then it was just a landslide. Yeah, the Soviets won. Yeah, they won it all.
Indeed. Aiden, what about you?
Yes, it definitely did seem to sort of like fall away from the US pretty hard there. I'm not quite sure what they could have done. There was that turn with the triple scoring where they did sort of look like they were clawing themselves back into the game, but not being able to convert Africa. I think, maybe on that nuclear subs turn they could have done a bit more damage there. Hard to say. I think the ops are certainly stacked against them.
Yeah, no question about that. Some early access for Team Washington, getting into Africa, being able to score Africa dom. South America came relatively early, but only scored for 2 for Texas when it could have been a lot more. And then a 5-year plan of Southeast Asia. So yeah, a lot of stuff just went right for the Soviets, and they won it. So congratulations to Team Washington. They are the 2024 U.S. Cup champions. So Team Washington the gold, Lone Star United the silver, and the district takes the bronze. So we'll be back next year with more U.S. Cup action. And we'll be back next week with more ARZ action. But until next time, for Makis and Aiden, this is Justin Abramson signing off. We hope you enjoyed this game as much as we enjoyed bringing it home to you. Records are made to be broken, rankings rise and fall, but flags fly forever. So long, everybody.